Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is the level 2 recording for July 25th already, and this is all about telepathy and the functioning of the higher senses. So a lot of this has to do, what I'm going to talk about now, has to do with what it is like to be a part of a telepathic society, because this is what is happening. We once were a telepathic society before the fall of consciousness and the genetic squashing and the degradations that we have experienced up until this point. And what we're now experiencing is a reawakening of the higher faculties. When I talk about the higher faculties, what am I referring to? Let me show you my meticulously well-organized imagery. So first, here are two drawings. They're sketches from kind of a long time ago. Wait, I'll do one at a time. So wait, first I should show you this one. So I was showing you this in level 1. So in this image, you can see the entire set of energy centers or chakras of the body. And wait, let's see if I can do a little magnify. Can I magnify you? Sometimes I can magnify. Oh, good, good, good. Look, look, look. That was pretty cool. Okay, so, ooh, look, I zoomed all the way in. So here you can see there's the human figure, there's the head of the person in this figure, and then you can see the way the indigo and violet chakras meet in the center of this person, in the center of their skull. All right, let me minimize this and now go back to this. So here are some details, and let's annotate. So this is from kind of an interesting top-down perspective, where you can see that same convergence point. That's this black dot that I'm making right there. That is where the violet and indigo chakras join together. So violet is usually this vortex that's up above the top of your head, like an angel's halo, right? And then indigo is this one that is usually right here in front of the eyes, right? So we've got perpendicular angles. One is coming from the top like this, one is coming out like this. Here, wait, let's draw it. I'm doing math, everyone, watch out. This is geometry. Look, perpendicular angles, 90-degree angles is what's going on. So we're talking about a gyro-stabilizing effect. What is a gyroscope? Have you guys ever seen a gyroscope? I don't have an image of one. So it's like a kid's toy. This is a string, and the gyroscope has like this little pole that sticks up like this, and a little wheel that spins around like this. And as the wheel spins, 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 it creates, so that's I'm trying to describe the movement of that, you know, it's like a lateral spinning movement around like that. It creates a gyro-stabilizing effect, meaning it doesn't fall over. So that's how come you can balance this little tiny spindle, this little tiny thing up and down on the string over here, and you can even kind of move the string around, and because the gyroscope is spinning, it stays upright. It kind of, you know, moves to the side, but it doesn't fall over. Very, very similar to a bicycle. Bicycle, we've got two wheels, and of course they're spinning, 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 and that is what prevents, like, here's the rider on the, you know, seat up here, so it prevents the rider from falling over in this direction, because you are moving forward in this direction. Gyro-stabilizing effect. So our chakras whirl and twirl on a non-physical level. This is related to the whirling and twirling of our DNA on a subcellular level, and it creates a gyro-stabilizing effect as we fly through time. Let me get a better picture. I'll get a better color, better color, better color. We're flying through time, blue. So this aperture right here, that's coming from out here, right? Attenuos, attention, attenuos. The elephant's trunk that reaches forward. What it reaches forward and connects with is time. Here's a timeline. There's a waveform of possibilities. So that is like the road of time upon which one travels. Wait, let me clear this away. Let me move this thing so you can see this one better. This is, wait, and I'll go back to that other picture because I've got a lot to say about that too. This one is relevant because it shows your higher faculties as it relates to your heart. So here's your heart right here. I mean, this is not only, you can't see that color. I'm choosing a green, but you can't even see it. Here's a better green. This right down here. This is your heart, and it is the muscular skeletal pumping structure of your body, yes, but it's also an energy field that is generated as the byproduct of that pumping action. Dun, dun, dun. We're connecting this to the level 1 teaching that I did, where I said, first your consciousness, then you get a body, then your body generates chakras as an end result of your whirling and swirling motions, right? Like your pineal gland projects reality. Your heart projects an energy field by the pumping action of it doing its thing. So if your heart stops pumping, not only do you die because your blood doesn't circulate around, but your energy field, there's no energy field. There's no these giant things here. If you can see what I'm doing, I'm highlighting. Those big giant energy fields, those don't exist because they only exist as the end result. Like the music only exists as the end result of you being alive. And when you stop being alive, the music of your heart stops being in existence too. Your heart stops making this energy field. So when you're alive, your heart makes this beautiful chakra, this beautiful energy field that you can see creates this vortex that I'm highlighting right now that is kind of like a stable platform. And again, you see these cleft where I'm highlighting over here, this kind of a groove. And that is why unconditional love is so important. So to awaken the higher faculties, you have to get to the point of unconditional love, which has everything to do with meditation, which has everything to do with focusing your mind completely on the moment now, not focusing on the past, not anticipating the future. When you're in the moment now, fully, love's a tone. Love's a tone, a tone that we make when we fly through time. But as I'm flying through time, emitting my love tone, you don't necessarily hear my voice going, la, although sometimes I sing. But mostly it's singing on a genetic and time level. You can be sitting in meditation, creating that profound rapport with the moment now. And that is how you get gas in your car. The more moments per day that you're able to accrete energy by being in meditation and mindfulness, the stronger and faster moving your bicycle wheels of your heart goes. This is what it's all about. So of course you have this implantation at the level of yellow. It's in yellow. Where's in yellow? Yellow is down here. Yellow is this solar plexus chakra right down here, and that's our talking mind that's constantly talking and chattering away and tells me things like, you gotta do the laundry, you gotta buy peanut butter, and you gotta do this and that. I'm like, oh my God, I'm just trying to sit in meditation and create the tone of love, and I got my mind giving me a laundry list of all the crapule that I gotta do. I'm like, yeah, I know, I gotta do a bunch of stuff. It's distraction. Every time you hear your yellow talking mind saying things, do the laundry, do the this, do the this. For me, it's usually choreful at this point. I'm like, yeah, mind, I'm gonna get to it. You don't have to nag me about it. Every time you hear that, it's friction. It's like a friction that is taking away the energy from your green bicycle wheels that are supposed to be spinning. So part of the challenge of awakening your higher faculties is getting enough gas in your car, getting your bicycle wheels to even go fast enough to be able to balance the rest of these chakras, the rest of this apparatus on top of it. So we also have, I don't have in this drawing visible, but we also have your throat chakra, which is a big part of your higher faculties, which connects to your arms and your collarbones and your ability to gesture and speak and all of that. So light blue is a big part of it. It's just not highlighted in this drawing. And then dark blue. So dark blue, this is again, this little spot right here, your pineal gland that emanates this lens in front of your face that is connected to this chakra right here. So first of all, it's oriented at this horizontal angle, horizontal, like this. And it has these wheels that this looks just like wheel and axle of a car. So the axle goes directly through, kind of like behind your nose, behind your eyes, kind of like connecting your ear at the top of your spine. And the wheels of the car are around here, around your ears, around the sides of your head, all right? Wheel and axle, and the car that is driving drives you through time. Here's a timeline. You drive down the road of time using the wheel and axles of the chakras of your higher dimensional perception. And this violet up here is the librarian telling you where to go. It's your GPS. This tells you, hey, are you supposed to be going down this road in this direction? Or what if I turn? What if I turn this entire apparatus and you're not supposed to be going down there, you're supposed to be going down this direction? Hey, that's a totally different timeline. Or maybe turn and you're supposed to go down this direction. So there's an interplay and a partnership between the indigo and the violet chakra. And in years past, I have used the example of like marriage, partnership, or something like that. till I recognized that there are such basic, profound discrepancies and inequalities in sexual politics on Earth right now that I was misleading people by saying this. Basically, marriages and partnerships, like someone's always getting screwed. That's the word around here. You're getting screwed. You're not making beautiful love, getting screwed. Someone's always being exploited. So then I had to say, okay, it's not like a marriage or a partnership, but it's like the idealized idea of a marriage or a partnership, where you have, think of it like a compass. Maybe that's a better way of saying it. In a compass, you have the housing that stays steady and is the outer part, and then you have the needle, that sensitive inner part that moves. So in your apparatus up here, your indigo chakra is supposed to be like the housing. It's supposed to be like the structure that contains within it the very, very sensitive, higher dimensional compass needle of your violet chakra that senses, where is God? Where is God? Where's God today? Where's God right now? Is God over here? Is it over here? That's determining your timeline. So again, this is the vehicle that you use to drive down a road of time. And this is like your GPS telling you which road to go on. Go on this timeline. No, I didn't mean that timeline. Go on this timeline over here, or go on this timeline over here. And go on timeline can also mean learn about this. Focus your attention on this topic. Focus your attention on this topic. Learn about this, learn about this. So that's why I also use the analogy of this is like your library card. You get your energy up to this level, you're like, oh cool, you now have access to the entire library of the cosmos. But still, that is a not empowered position, because you have to learn how to read the catalog. You have to learn how to get the information that you actually want, that is actually relevant to you. So if you just go into a big library, you're a kindergartner, you should not begin with, you know, War and Peace or Moby Dick or some crazy piece of literature. It's way beyond your reading level. You should begin with, you know, whatever, the simple, you know, Charlie Brown story or something like that, that you can read and understand. So, you know, children's nursery rhymes. So when you begin to open up your inner eye, you should be guided by your higher dimensional guidance system that tells you what things to learn about, what things to read. That is what happened to me. That's how I learned all of this information of the language of color, line, shape, form, movement, texture, and tone that I'm teaching to you. I learned all of these, whatever, the spelling and the grammar and the language, because I was given those books. I read them in the right order. Then now I share this information with you. I'm trying to share it with you in the right order. So wait, let me consult my notes, make sure that I'm talking about the right things. Okay, and it's also a partnership in reality creation. So that's also why I had to not use the marriage partnership type of analogy too, because someone who was getting screwed. And the whole idea is these two chakras are supposed to work together in order to manifest a beautiful reality. They're not supposed to be at odds, fighting like, I want to have Italian for dinner, or I want to have Chinese. Well, now let's fight it out. It's not supposed to be like that. Why would it ever be like that? Or like, you know, in a song, like, I want to play classical music, I want to play Jimi Hendrix, now we'll fight it out. Not supposed to be like that. Why would it ever be like that in a band? So within your own body, why would you expect to have any kind of conflict? Like, this aspect of self wants to drive over here, but this aspect of self tells me to do this instead. There should be no conflict in that way. It should be a beautiful melding, a beautiful partnership between these two things that help, you know, to work together. Okay, so that's within your own self, just becoming a telepathic being within your own self. So, and someone asked me a question about telepathy. I said the level 2 stuff. Hold on, I'm scrolling backwards. Okay, the Bogus asked me, is it important to do a clearing of possible negative entity attachments before attempting telepathy with someone? So this is really, really good. This now gets into the crux of what I wanted to share in today's presentation. What is it to be a telepathic society? Because that is what I come from. So I've been having some wonderful conversations that I'm recording and turning into kind of like a new on-demand video series where, you know, lovely friend and student participant has been asking me some questions about what life is like in my collective where I come from, and I've been describing it more. So it's been very nice to focus on this. So first of all, I come from a consciousness collective where everyone is telepathic. And then you have to, what does all this mean? Let's go back to this image over here. Wait, go back to this image. How do I do this? So I drew this for a reason. You can see that there's that central convergence point. here. And then it looks like there's all sorts of these other figures clustered around at various different angles. This is my artistic way of trying to portray the idea that you have one mind, here's one person, one face, right? Then you have these other minds that are connected to that mind. It's like a node. So this is like a hub. There's a central hub right here, or a node with all these other minds connecting. And this is what telepathy is. So in order to have this type of connection, yeah, hygiene is really, really important, because right now we're in this world where a lot of people have mind parasites, or they are mentally and energetically infested with pathological or pathogenic aspects of consciousness or characteristics. And you don't want them inside of you. That would just be like saying, like, what if you walked around with a bottle of water and you knew that other people around you were thirsty and you wanted to share your water with them, but when you offered it to them, they've got like lips horribly encrusted with sores. You're like, ooh, just let's not share that. Let's not share that. I'd love to share some wonderful, nourishing water with you, but I don't want to get horrible, horrible viruses and parasites encrusted on me, okay? This is the challenge of the world that we presently live within, because, I'm gonna go back to my face, most of the people that we meet and interact with during the day have all sorts of infestations. They have implants or parasites, or I don't know if you've been watching that show called Stranger Things, which has a lot of violence, so only limited, don't eat that, don't watch that while you're eating your food. But they call them the mind flayed, the people that are parasitically infested with this horrible creature, this monster. Their minds have been flayed. They are mind flayed. Yeah, you don't want to go around like sharing your water bottle with people that are mind flayed, because you'll get their parasites, okay? So this is big. You don't want to get telepathically connected to people that have a bunch of mind parasites, because you will get their parasites. Now I have to say a bunch of stuff about ayahuasca, and you just got to like take it from the direction that's coming from. I do not encourage or promote or think that ayahuasca is a good idea in any way. And so this is not from my personal experience, this is from viewing other people that have had these experiences. So I don't take ayahuasca, I don't take mushrooms or psychedelics or LSD or anything like that. I drink raw cannabis juice and take CBD medicine because I'm protecting my brain, healing my brain here. I can't do overloads and stuff like that. So I don't know this from firsthand. Like, it's not like I took the drug and then I was like, oh, like that's how people are getting parasites by basically doing this. So what happens when you take one of these psychedelic drugs? First of all, it's like prying open the eyelid of the inner eye. This is supposed to be like a natural opening, a natural awakening. And if you ever babysat or whatever, but like, like when babies naturally awaken, not like, if you like make a loud noise and the baby awakes and goes, wow, 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 I'm sad, I'm unhappy. But like when babies naturally awaken, like their eyes slowly open, sometimes they close again, or they might shift or whatever, and then they kind of like come into being. That's what your awakening is supposed to be like. But if you do something like, I'm going to smoke a bunch of DMT, that's like blasting your third eye open. This is not a natural way. It's not just training wheels. It's an artificial augmentation. It is an artificial amplification. And it's not guided by the higher dimensional GPS, giving everyone sensible books to read when they're kindergartners. So not only you take DMT, you blast off into the lower astral. That's where everybody gets these parasites. So this is my problem. This is kind of a rant. Sorry, I'm ranting. No apologies. I'm ranting without apology. I think that a bunch of the shamans that are administering ayahuasca are themselves infested with parasites, and that they then give the eye-opening augmentation training wheels to their disciples, who then drink it, see a lot of interesting stuff, and also get infested with parasites. And then they go around telepathically connecting with other people and trying to spread those parasites. And when I say parasites, what do I mean? I'm talking about a series of pathogenic and pathological thought structures. When I say pathogenic, that means creating physical disease. When you believe something that's pathogenic, it might be a thought like cancer is inevitable. Like you're going to make a tumor if you think that thought. That's pathogenic. Pathological meaning having a thought structure that is unhealthy in some way. So an unhealthy thought structure that's pathological might be something like, I'm such a special person that, you deserve, give me $1 million. Like, just give it to me. That's a pathological thought structure. Like, you might be a really special person, but like you got to earn $1 million. Then you shouldn't just like think like, oh, I get $1 million just for sitting around and being who I am. Like, so these are the types of things that I see go into people's minds when they drink these potions. That the potion might tell you, you're a very special person. Hey, you know something? You are a very special person. But if you do that artificial augmentation, you take this potion and it tells you, you're a very special person. And then that's a pathological thought structure that people internalize. And then in their sobriety, in their regular daily waking mind, they still have that as their erroneous foundation. I'm a very, very special person. I deserve to have $1 million just on the basis of, you know, sitting around doing nothing. Like, that's pathological. Like, you want $1 million? Like, do something, okay? That's what I'm trying to say. So, and I know that I'm being rather blithe or, you know, lighthearted in my presentations here. Huge yellow caution flags on drinking ayahuasca, taking potions, or who, like, no one else is qualified to do this type of brain surgery for you. Like, no one else who's in the body. I don't go around administering this type of stuff. I don't say to you, like, here, drink this potion. It will open up your third eye. Like, and then I'm going to guide you through some kind of experience. I don't do that. Like, I think that says a lot. It's a huge amount of responsibility to drive somebody else's car into the lower astral. Like, I'm rather horrified. I clutch my pearls of some of the things that I see going on. So I don't think that it's healthy. I don't think that's helping people to enlightenment. I think it's helping people to get more pathologically and pathogenically infested. All of that in order to say, yes, bogus, yes, I'm talking to the union. Bogus Law Baranowski. Yeah, you are supposed to be very, very cautious about who you connect your mind to. Very cautious. In the same way that you're supposed to be cautious or selective about who you connect your genitals to. You're not supposed to just randomly go around connecting with everybody. No, that's like one of the most, whatever, misguided expressions of what, you know, what happened in the 1960s with, you know, sexual liberation or whatever. Like, no, that is not what you're supposed to do at all. Like, you're not supposed to just, you know, touch everything. You're supposed to have, so, okay, let's get into this. What is life like in my consciousness collective, where I come from? What is it life like in a telepathic society? There are things that are private, but that are not secret. And this is very big. So I use the example, like, if you go camping, go camping with some friends, and there's, like, you know, either you're going to go use the bushes or there's a porta potty or whatever. Like, everybody knows what you're doing. You're going to be like, I'm back in 5 minutes. Like, I'm going to go walk over there. Like, give me 5 minutes alone. Like, everybody knows what you're doing. It's not a secret, but it is private. Your pee-pees and poo-poos are private. And in a telepathic society, we have similar levels of privacy. It's not just a question, because in a telepathic society, you can read a person like a book. You can literally, but it's an intimate act. In a telepathic society, you can literally look at every single aspect of a person's being, from their moment of conception to the moment that they presently exist at, everything they've ever done, everything they've ever said, everything they've ever felt and experienced. That's like sharing a water bottle with someone. You get a lot of germs from ingesting something from someone like that. So you have to be really selective about who you read and who you want to read you. So I'm also like, let's talk about this. And I know that I'm being lighthearted, but these are important things. I talked with a student participant of this class when I was up at the conference in Washington at ECT. I had a lovely walk along the river, and I was saying, like, yeah, like, a lot of people go to festivals or whatever, you know, weekend excursions, and there might be a booth or a tent, like, where they have food vendors doing body work. And, like, people go and they submit themselves to do this body work and be like, yeah, like, here's $20 or whatever to the guy. Like, you don't know this person. You don't know who they've been interacting with. You don't know what they've been doing. You don't know anything about them. You don't know anything about their credentials, but come and do your body work. And I said to this student that that's like saying, like, if you just went to some random festival and there was, like, a booth there, like a traveling booth, like, doing dentistry. Be like, you don't know the dentist. You don't know if they've got 4 stars on Yelp. You don't know if they know what they're talking about, if they have a degree, but you're going to go there and let them drill a filling for you. Like, okay, that sounds great. Like, no, that sounds horrible. That sounds totally, totally horrible and not good at all. So I would say super yellow caution flags on letting anyone do any kind of body work on you. That means any kind of massage, touching you, Reiki, energy work, healing. Whether you're like, but Aurora, blah, blah, this should be able to help me. Yes, it should be able to help you, but you got to understand that we're in unprecedented times. We're not just in a regular time where you can just walk around sharing your water glass with other people. You're in a place where people are infested with plagues and parasites and all sorts of crap like that. And you got to be a little bit smarter than the average bear about who you share energy with. So start being way more selective about who you allow to do body work. How about standing in a circle? Circle up. I've been to a couple of festivals recently, and it seems like it's always part of the opening ceremony, or at some point they say, everybody stand in a circle and join hands. And you know something? I don't mean to sound hypocritical, but I really don't enjoy that crap. And I think it's because it is being done in a way that is very unconscious, and that it is not. It is about old paradigm human hierarchy, and not moving forward, new paradigm, non-hierarchical self-expression. So I spoke about this, I think, last week, how my consciousness collective has nothing at all to do with walking in unison. That my consciousness collective is all about like jazz band people that do their own thing in their own way, and no one else is telling you, like, it's not like the army, like right foot, left foot, like I've been known and I've been told. No, it is not like marching in unison like the Marines. It is not like that at all. And so I am nonplussed when I see at some kind of a festival or something like that that's for consciousness raising, when the first thing that everybody's told is, everybody stand up, which is basically, listen to me, I'm the leader, stand up, and stand in a circle and join hands, which is basically make a big energy circuit. And you're supposed to do this with people that you don't know, that you've never met before, that you don't know if they're cool. And that's like this, you gotta be way more selective about who you join together in an energy circuit with, because they might have huge destabilizations within their own DNA, within their own thought structure, within their own chakra structure, and you really don't want to take in their destabilized energy. So not advisable in any way. So start being a lot more selective about who and with whom and under what circumstances you stand in a big giant circle, because you're creating a circuit with all the other people. How about hugging? Hugging, this is big. Now, people who know me, when they meet me, they understand I'm a big hugger, but I'm not without standards, is what I would say. So I do enjoy hugging, and because I'm lasagnaing people when I hug them. However, hugs should never be mandatory. Hugs should be, I selectively choose who I hug and who I offer to hug. And I always have an invitation. I say, would you like to? Or like, let's do this, and give them an opportunity to say no. I've had very few people refuse a hug from me, but I always say people should have the opportunity. Be selective about who you hug, because you are absorbing energy from them and giving energy to them. And that is a very, very big thing to understand, that you don't want to get a bunch of parasitic stuff from other people. So it's like, okay, Aurora, how do I do this? What am I supposed to do? First of all, Merkaba, Merkaba, Merkaba. Merkaba, the first level, which is just as an energetic immune system. That's pretty big. And then the other thing is, please understand that as your higher faculties awaken, you will begin to perceive things that are pure insight and not physical. And a lot of children already have this. I got to drink a little bit more. But often older people and social propriety discourages children from being able to act upon their telepathic and inner perceptions. So a child might say, ew, I don't like that person, I don't want to hug them. But you say, you must give a hug to grandma or uncle so-and-so, like be polite. Or children say, you're ugly, you're gross, I want to run in the opposite direction. Be polite. Like a lot of this has to do with social politeness. And we learn that also as adults, like, oh, you catch more flies with honey than with vinegar. If you're like, you're ugly and I don't like your face, I don't want to do business with you. You're going to lose a lot of business. Like you're going to lose customers is what I'm trying to say. If you're like, ew, like, I don't want to sell anything to you. You're ugly and I don't like your glasses. But my dog is over there and I hear her talking. I respect her a lot. When I first got my dog, she just barked at everyone. She was afraid of everyone. But then when she calmed down, like after many years, now she only barks at people that are screwed up in some way. And they might have some weird appearance or some weird energy, or sometimes they're on methamphetamine or whatever. But my dog, there's always a reason why she doesn't like that. A particular person, or she barks at them, or she's like, stay away from me or don't touch me. I respect that. So this is like understanding the impulses that you had as a little child that were mostly squashed by social correctness are what we were trying to get back to. Because someone asked me, like, Aurora, like, how can, it was a student in this class, and she's a lovely person, she said, how can I skip all of the having to have a conversation with someone and just get to the meat and potatoes of whether or not they're worthwhile, or are they pathogenic, or, are they evil, or are they parasitic or whatever? And so the answer is, at first, you might have to do a lot of tasting. Is this person parasitic? I don't know. Let me have a conversation, find out. Yep, they taste terrible. But at a certain point, your higher faculties get so good that you can smell them coming. You're like, oh, I don't even have to talk to that guy. I can smell him coming. I know he ain't right. And then at a certain point, you don't even have to smell him. You can see him from down the road. So this has everything to do with your higher faculties coming online. What are higher faculties? What is higher dimensional perception like? What is insight like? What is telepathy like? Telepathy is not a verbal conversation. Telepathy is not a verbal conversation. Telepathy is not a verbal conversation. Words are hacked. Language is bogus. Telepathy is not a verbal conversation. So if you are having some voice speak in your head that says, eat a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, that ain't real telepathy. That is synthetic telepathy. I should have started with that. And beyond even the feeling of love in your heart, it should not be words. It should not be words. So if I'm going to telepathically beam to you the experience of eating fried chicken, I don't describe to you with words, oh, this crust is so crispy. Oh, it was fried in bacon grease. This is delicious. No, I do not narrate the chicken. You taste the chicken. If you're telepathically connected to someone who's drinking a cup of tea, you would taste the tea. So now let's talk about this Netflix show that was called Sense8. Got a lot of weird, freaky sex stuff in there that I do not condone at all. That's what I say. Caution flags on the sex stuff. Interesting show in other ways because it was talking about an awakening neurological system of humans being connected together, like through a human mycelium. They called it the sensilium. You know, like mycelium is like what connects mushrooms together, that connecting the senses of various individuated humans. So one human might be drinking tea in Great Britain, but the guy in Africa tastes the tea. He's like, oh, how interesting. I've never had that flavor before. That is along the lines, it's like planting a seed that is along the lines of what it is like to be in a telepathic society. But in a telepathic society, you do not tune in when someone else is peeing and pooping on the toilet, or having sex with their girlfriend, or looking at their own naked body in the mirror. No, no, no. All of that kind of shit is not okay. So now I have to talk about what is my telepathic society like, where I come from. So yeah, where I come from and what I also remember from ancient Atlantis. In a telepathic society, things are private, but nothing is secret, okay? So that means like, yeah, you might be going over there and going inside of a little closet. You're pooping. We all know that you're pooping. We can hear it. We can smell it. We know that you need to do this, but we're just not focusing our attention on what you're doing. In a telepathic society, you get to have private diaries. You get to have your own private thoughts. There might be something like, oh, so-and-so is driving me crazy. I have to think these thoughts about them. You're allowed to think those thoughts about so-and-so. Because it wouldn't be cool if so-and-so went into your mind and read all of your private communications and was like, I'm insulted. How could you think that about me? Like, you're allowed to think your own private thoughts in a telepathic society. That is part of having good boundaries. It's a big part of it. But on the other hand, everything is visible. So let's say in a telepathic society, someone crosses a boundary. And in this society, this barbarian society, I've had people telepathically cross a lot of boundaries. But the difference here is that no one else can see it. So it's like, you know, if you get punched in the face, but everybody's blind, like they don't see what's going on. They don't know you're being punched in the face. So first of all, in this time and place, if someone telepathically punches you in the face, punch them back, because none of this is okay and everyone else is freaking blind. But in my society, if someone telepathically punched you in the face, everyone would see it. This is not okay. This is not acceptable behavior in any way. There would be massive repercussions because that is not okay. So a lot of what is going on here on Earth's surface and in human society right now is only possible because some things are obscured or hidden or not fully visible. The only way that these pathogenic behaviors are able to be expressed is because they're not visible. And we are in this moment of higher faculties coming online. It's like this. It's like this. Okay. Oh, wait. It's dark. You're not really seeing that much. Let's turn on a little bit of light. Oh, look, the things are starting to come online. Oh, things are starting to brighten up a little bit more. I can see a little bit more. Oh, hey, I can see a lot bit more. Oh, hey, now I can see a lot bit more. Now everything is fully online. Everything is fully illuminated. There we go. The lights are fully on. Everything is fully illuminated. That is the process that humanity is presently undergoing in terms of the awakening of the higher faculties. Gradually, the lights are turning on. So what is this experience like as your higher faculties come online? For me, visual first. I saw all of these images and understood them on an intuitive insight level first. Auditory came second, understanding music. and how those waveforms fit with these waveforms. And for me, kinesthetic and body has come third. So that I'm still starting to understand feelings in my body, the sensations in my body, how that relates to my chakras and my energy systems and these, abstract time patterns. I'm still coming to understand that, and I have not yet explored smell, taste. Okay, but I presume that it's there. Someone once asked me, how many senses are there in the higher faculties? And I said 360, like a 360 degree. It's not like this world here where we have these 5 basic senses. We experience full perception, but then we put it through the human filter. The human filter has 5 senses. So this is pretty big. In a telepathic society, you send abstract communication packages to someone, and then they decode them or encode them or decipher them into a communication interpretation that they can wrap their heads around, which might be something visual or something auditory or something sensed or something that you can taste and smell, like a piece of fried chicken. Let me get to questions. I'm almost out of time. Okay. Okay, Eleanor, good to see you. Thank you for being here. She says, please define what a timeline is. So a timeline is one series of possibilities and probabilities in the 4th dimension. When I draw those little diagrams, it's a train car reality with many other train cars lined up next to it. One long, skinny French bread of possibilities and probabilities, the story of one particular narrative structure in time. Angel says, if a person's vibration is really high when taking psychedelics, is it possible to go beyond the astral? My answer is, I don't think so. I think what happens is, like, let's say you have one of these Grand Prix racing bikes that you put training wheels on it. I think the training wheels make you go slower. So I think that if you're ready to have your higher faculties awakened and to see these patterns and to have a higher dimensional experience of perception, I think that you will have that experience. And if you take a bunch of ayahuasca or mushrooms or whatever, I think that's like adding training wheels. I think it will slow you down. I think it will weigh you down and prevent you from rising to the heights that you're actually supposed to rise to, and that the experience is not the same. So natural vision, like if you just have naturally really clear eyesight, is not the same as eyesight where like you have to like have glasses or a telescope or something like that to be able to see the same thing. It's much, much better to see it with natural, unencumbered vision. Let me just mute everybody, not because I don't love you, just for the quality of the sound recording. Ines says, what about little babies who are having already parasites? They're not mentally infected, or the parents are not infected. They must all be parasitic infection on a physical level only. How do you see this? Okay, so I really perceive that little babies come here and do not have parasites until they begin to interact with humans that do have parasites and learn language. That's it. So you don't have this parasitic consciousness structure until you get the interface to download ideas. Parasites are ideas. They're distorted ideas. So now you understand what I'm talking about. Like if you share your water with someone, but you get parasites on the edge, like you share your ideas with someone, but they've got a bunch of screwed up, hinky-jinky, distorted ideas. And they will reflect back to you in a way that is distorted and reflect back your good nourishment that you're sending out in a distorted way. This is the best way I can say. Like if someone is infested with mind parasites, their mirror is not a clear mirror. Their mirror is like a funhouse mirror. And if you stand in front of their distorted funhouse mirror, they will see you in a distorted way and reflect back to you your goodness, but in a distorted way. This is what you have to start to understand. The artificial augmentation of the higher senses through the use of some augmentation like a psychedelic or whatever like that, the danger is that it gives people access to ideas and perceptions that they're not ready for. That if you were ready for those nutrients, they would come to you. You'd already have them. So everybody is thinking that this is like the short road to enlightenment. There's no quick fix to enlightenment. There's no shortcut is what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to get my words right. There's no shortcut to being able to run the marathon. Look, it just jumped up. Come on up. Come on up. Here, we got the baby over here. There is no shortcut to enlightenment. And this means you can't, here, you want to up, baby? You can't think, okay, I'm going to like 3D print a bunch of sacred geometry, or blast off on a bunch of DMT, and then I'm gonna, you know, reach enlightenment. Like it doesn't work that way. It actually takes many, many years of concerted effort to learn sacred geometry. You can't just computer generate everything. It takes a long time to embody those truths inside of you. It takes a long time to learn to grow your heart to the point of being able to accept what you perceive with your higher perceptions. It takes a long time to figure out who you are in terms of context with other people and with divinity. Like there's so much to learn. You can't, there's no quick fix. In order to train for this marathon, no, you can't train for this marathon in 5 minutes. No. And putting on training wheels also does not mean that you will be able to finish the marathon in such a wonderful way, much, much easier than everybody who's been running for 10 years. No to that also. It's actually a very, very fair race. If you're using a bunch of training wheels, like you're kind of not in the same level. I won't say disqualified. I'll just say you're not in the same level. Ah, they got it. Good. Now I know who's talking, who Bogus Law is. Good. Thank you, Richard. Good to hear from you here. Ines says, but what is then giving hands to strangers? There are cultures on earth, they do not do it. When you say giving hands to strangers, do you mean like shaking hands? You have to have firewalls or an immune system before you interact with anybody. And this is just like being a human. Like I have an immune system. Before I meet anybody, like there were kids playing in the park and they were coughing and sneezing over there at the local community center. I'm like, I ain't afraid. I have an immune system. If I had no immune system, I would be afraid because their little virulent germs would jump inside of me and then I'd be coughing and sneezing. So if other people have been taking a lot of magical elixirs and brews and going on psychedelic adventures and getting all sorts of mind parasites, do I have to worry about getting their parasites? No. You know why? Have a freaking immune system. They come up to me and they're full of, you know, a bunch of whatever wild and distorted ideas about the structure of the cosmos. I'm like, oh, that's okay. I have an immune system because I know what the cosmos is structured like, and I know what is true, and I know what I believe. So I think that's a very big part of it. You should be able to meet other people, but you should be able to meet them in a way that you're not going to get infested with stuff from them. And just right now, remember, we're in unprecedented times. So this is not like, oh, you're on an adventure and you're here to meet people. Like, no, you're walking around. There's plague infesting zombies, and you know you're not here on a pleasure cruise. Like you just have to understand this. Patricia says, I'm a licensed massage therapist with great creds and an actual gift, and I actually just left the field of massage because of the parasitism that I incur from the clients. Really interesting. She goes on to say, no matter how much shielding I do, it doesn't prevent the siphoning. And I started selecting who I work with, and my employer didn't approve, so I left. I approve of your selectivity. I think that's really, really hugely important. And I also understand how that could be a real issue in terms of serving the public. I used to be a custom framer, which is not even a hands-on body healing type of intimacy. And I found at a certain point, like I couldn't deal with having to deal with all these random customers. And so I got a lot better when I was a freelancer and I could decide like, no, I don't want to have to deal with this random crazy psychopath just to frame their paintings. I think I'll deal with this nice person over here. So yeah, we all should be able to choose who we verbally interact with, and definitely who you touch on a physical level, and also with whom you interact with on an energetic level, like sharing ideas and other forms of consciousness. Julia says, how to clear all of that from past groups? Any FRL for this? Yeah, so I'm encouraging everyone to like be your own cleaning person, be your own healer, be your own cleaner. It would be really wonderful to be like, oh, you know, you over there, remove these parasites from me. Like, this is not so great. But what I'm finding out more and more is that everyone who puts themselves up, like hang out a shingle, official parasite removal, you know, apply here. They all got parasites too. This is what I'm trying to slowly, you know, come to acceptance on, that all the people that I've met so far that purport to be worthy of removing other people's parasites themselves have their own parasites. And, you know, like I know that that's a rather sweeping statement. And so I'll just say that I'm very skeptical of claims and practices that people are doing when they're saying that they're clearing, that they're saying that they're clearing someone else. And what really is going on as we are moving into this telepathic society where everyone has awakened faculties, you have to be your own guide. This is why I also speak against the idea of gurus. I'm not a guru. I'm an artist and a musician, and I hope to inspire other people to their own, you know, creative achievements. But I don't say, do like me, be like me, follow me, and, you know, do everything that I tell you to do, and I will bring you to enlightenment. No, not at all, really not. You know, I don't say like, buy my shirt and it will make you enlightened. No, not at all. I see you get to furry overlord there, Sandy. That's so beautiful. That's so cute. That's wonderful. Yeah. So it's DIY. All of this is guide yourself. Do it yourself. There is no external authority figure. There is no external God. So it is an internal God. I said there's no external God. There is an internal God and an internal directive. So eventually what happens is we all have our own higher faculties awakened. And what happens is you scan your own body. And you're like, oh, I have a blockage in my elbow. I better put some healing energy there. Or, oh, I have a blockage in my tummy. I better eat this or that or do this or that to make my tummy better. Like, you take care of yourself. So it is appropriate at a certain point, like when you're a tiny baby, your mama has to feed you and wipe your diaper up. But when you're an adult, like, you do that on your own. So we are all heading into energetic and psychic adulthood, where it is appropriate for us to take care of our own food and diapering, you know, like you wipe your own ass, right? Like and again, you should be able to ask for help. And in ancient Atlantis, when, like, say everybody's chakras are perfect, if your chakras start to fall over, you're like, hey, wait, don't fall over, stand up like this. That's different than saying, like, it's my job to come along and make you stand up like this. Like, this is a very, very different thing. So this also speaks to people's sense of identity. If your identity is, I'm a healer, it's my job to fix other people and reach into their bodies and make stuff different like that you might have to develop a different identity, because at a certain point, it's not appropriate for someone else to reach into your body or to paint on your painting of your reality. Do you guys notice that in this class? Do you notice all the time that I say, I paint on my own painting of reality, but it ain't my job to paint on any of your paintings. I give you your own paintbrush, you paint on your painting for you. That, I think, should speak volumes about, my value system comes from really knowing what life is like at this higher dimensional reality. So in a higher dimensional reality that I'm from, everyone is telepathic. And if anybody steps out of bounds and does something that is inappropriate on a mental or telepathic level, it's evident to everyone. And of course, there are consequences, because it's a metabolism and it's a social structure where people are protected. You can't just have a crime. So nothing is hidden, everything is evident. And if there's some kind of a crossing of boundary or inappropriate behavior or crime, the entire society responds to it. Okay, Susan says, I love that. I dislike and will not be forced to take in others' energy, like in a forced hugging or forced holding hands in a circle. Really good. Yeah, so yeah, continue to be discerning. But hug the people that you want. You got your furry overlord cat is there. It's like being a musician. Play music with the people that you want to play with. Don't play with people that are uncool. So Gala asks, did I stand in their circles? So I can talk to you guys about this. So when I've been in these social situations where other people are doing, like, let's all drop our boundaries and share our energy, I usually use my dog as my excuse, as a social politeness, like just as a tool, because if I can't be completely obvious and be like, no, you're infested with parasites, I don't want to hold hands with you. Like in a crowd situation, like, oh, like, it's loud here. Oh, my dog is restless. Like, I'm just going to stand over here so that I'm not disruptive to what you're doing, because I have my dog with me, because she's a service animal and I bring her to social situations. So I usually use her as my excuse. But the truth is, if I spoke openly with my voice, I would say to them, no, I ain't going to hold your hand because I feel unbearably uncomfortable having to be exposed to your, distortions and, whatever flaws and parasites, and that you're not at the level of being ready to be able to, connect on a mature and healthy level. No one want to hear that. That's not a good thing to hear at, like, some kind of a festival or whatever. So I have just politely declined. But I think that this is a really worthy conversation to have. There are very, very few circles that I would want to be a part of. Justin says, first of all, hello and welcome, says, hi, Aurora. I know we have moved on, but how do you feel, hi, good to see you, about microdosing plants to mildly switch perception, healing addictions, like with intentional use of peyote and mushrooms, programming the body and mind? So I know that there are some programs, that there's some in Mexico of using, like, iboga, some of these things to heal addiction. And I knew this guy from Woodstock who was a war vet, and he had profound opioid addictions from the Veterans Hospital. And he went to Mexico and he did the iboga, and it did mildly improve his addiction for a short amount of time. But it did not speak to the underlying issues that he had, which were profound violence programs that caused him to enter into the military, profound self-violence and self-destruction, that even though he no longer wanted to, kill other people, he would, like, ride a motorcycle with no helmet on, I think in the hopes that he would, like, smash his brains all over the ground. That would be, like, how he would, like, get his atonement or whatever. So the drugs, the molecules, the plant medicines, whatever you want to call them, they don't actually fix the underlying person. That's what I learned from this guy. And, I did see changes and improvements after he went through his experience. He shared them with me very openly. And, he learned a lot about the violence and killing. That's what his vision showed him. He had been in the military, he killed people, and his vision showed him how profoundly that is harmful on every social and emotional level. And so he came back from that really wanting to atone and really wanting to be different. But it did not, his behavior did not heal, it didn't fix his marriage, didn't fix his self-destruction. So I would really say to everyone, don't look for the solutions in a plant or in a molecule or in a magic elixir. And it's not going to be something like ormus, like a magical powder, a white gold, or whatever. Thank you. You're totally getting it. I'm getting the thumbs up. Yeah, it's not something external to us. It is all the internal divine connection that allows us to do these things. And that's positive because it doesn't cost anything. It's not like, I have to get $10 to buy a bottle of divine connection. It's there. So you don't have to, and you don't need a monthly subscription or whatever. So yeah. But also, I want you to know, I'm not judgmental if people want to experiment with molecules and stuff like that and eating different plants, but it's not my way. David Lear says, could the 0th dimension, and hello, good to see you, David, be defined by the following words: limitless, unborn, unbounded, self-effulgent, non-dual awareness. So definitely non-dual awareness, self-effulgent. I think that means unfolding. I'm not sure if I understand exactly what that word means, but if it means because the 0th dimension spontaneously springs out and blooms into these other dimensions. So I would say that's accurate. I didn't know about unborn, because the 0th dimension is the place of existence, but it's the type of existence where you don't have to be born into existence because you exist all the time. So, because unborn, people might think means you don't exist, but it's a type of unborn where it's you ain't born because you've been around the whole time. So I would say unborn, but only if we define it in that way. Limitless, yes, and unbounded. And I would say yes, unbounded, because it is infinity. So excellent question, and thank you very much for your insight there. Julia says, ditto on counseling and healing. So I think, Julia, you're talking about the ideas of who you choose as a counselor, who you choose as a healer. Also, here's a good one. There's a Netflix show called Maniac. I provisionally recommend it. Again, there's some violence and weirdness, but the premise is a guy produces an artificial intelligent computer that's supposed to be like a psychologist, psychiatrist that can heal the subjects. You take a magic pill, you talk to the magic AI computer, and it fixes your brain, fixes your psychology. But the question in that movie is basically, can a flawed human with various psychological issues make a computer program that is so perfect that it can heal human flaws? And the answer is no, it can't. The computer program itself was flawed. A flawed human made a flawed computer program that tried to fix a bunch of other flawed humans, and it all just went kablooey. So my real answer is a psychotherapist or a healer or whatever. A person might be well-intentioned, but if you yourself are flawed, do you even have the muscles to be able to reach into someone else and perfect them? Do you even have that capacity? The question must be asked. I think there's some amount of hubris if you think, I don't know what the F I'm doing, but I'm going to somehow reach into you and fix you. So I think until or unless you're divinely perfected, you should focus on your own journey and not on trying to heal others. And I think that that's what really happens when we get to these levels of having awakened higher faculties. We become, healers of ourselves and self-reliant. And the other thing is you can definitely use yourself as a template where you say, I don't heal other people, but I've experienced a healing. This is what I went through. This is how I changed. This is how I grew. And other people can be inspired by that. I'm really not trying to say you have to heal in isolation and never talk to other people or never share your journey or anything like that. I'm not. But it's the question of who do you allow to do brain surgery on you? Only a licensed brain surgeon, not just some weirdo. So Eleanor says, I'm a trained therapist and I only work with people who have a certain level of consciousness. You don't want them in your field if they're mentally ill. Definitely, because you also take responsibility for what you do in terms of how your words are affecting other people. Your words are performing a type of psychic surgery or life trajectory change. So if you're a conscientious therapist, you understand you're having an impact on someone else. Hey, let's use an example of a non-conscientious therapist. Let's say that you're a kid, whatever, you're in your 20s, and you go to a therapist and you say, I'm so unhappy, I'm so unfulfilled in my life, I really want to be an artist or a musician. And if the therapist says, stop thinking that way. Those are impractical career choices, and you should instead choose to be something like a lawyer or a stockbroker. You know, get a good job. Don't be an artist or a musician. Like that might be really, really horrible life advice, because it might be your path to be an artist or a musician or a weirdo and not to try to fit into society. And someone who is telling you that might be telling you things that society wants you to be told, but things that are totally not food for your soul. So you also have to look at agenda. Humans are flawed. Humans run on agendas. Humans do all sorts of things to get their paycheck. Yellow caution flags on acquiescing your own power to someone else if they have the therapist. And of course, Eleanor, I'm not speaking to you in terms of this level of criticism, because it sounds like you are a very conscious, grounded person in the work that you do with others. Julia says, only trade folks I love. Only trust folks that you feel are safe. Good. And Ines says, but Julia, though, folks also, all kinds of energies are transmitted. Quantum science shows us in barriers. Oh, yeah. So you know something? You can hug people through your computer screen. Definitely. And so on all of my interactions on the computer and these videos that I send out, I put a Merkaba around my digital presence, because I recognize that it is an interface. Just like some tribes feel that if you're photographed and someone can see your face, they've taken a piece of you. Yeah, videos are a piece of you. And so I would recommend to everyone, if you do video work or any kind of thing like that, to put in Merkaba an intention of protection around any image of yourself, so that you would only connect with healthy, non-pathogenic consciousnesses. Julia says, no money for healing. What exchange would you suggest? Yeah, so, okay, I'm coming up with ideas about economy and the way that this should be. Let's say I have flexibility, but my general rules are physical money for physical work, non-physical money for non-physical work. So if you do something that is a non-physical help or healing for someone, then you should be paid non-physically, like energy for energy. But if you do something like I build you a set of shelves, then you should give me something actually in exchange, like money or potatoes or something like that. So these are like basic guidelines of how to do this, because I think that there are some people that think like, okay, like whoosh, like I just waved my magic wand, I did an energy healing, like give me a bushel of potatoes. It's like that they're not equitable. They're not the same thing, because one thing took time and physical energy and physical water and soil to create, and one thing was a different type of thing. So, but let's also say, what do I feel about a performance? Should you be paid for a performance? Yes. Should you be paid for teaching? Yes. Like if you know how to do something, if you know how to sew a dress, or if you know a recipe, and you should be paid to teach a thing? Yes. Should you be paid for information? Let's say I've got a recipe. Hey, I've got the recipe for how to make lasagna. I want to give it to you. Yeah, I should be paid for that. All of that is appropriate, even though a recipe is non-physical. Like you can write it down, but it's not a physical thing. So I'm trying to say, you should be paid for your expertise. But when we start to get into the levels of using your higher psychic powers, should you be paid for it? And my answer usually is no, because we don't want to commodify something that is sacred. So now we're getting into the ideas of, sexuality and romance and that level of connection. We consider it to be very gross and disgusting if you sell access to that. Like if you married for money instead of for love, it's kind of like, ew, like that's kind of gross, because it's like you're compromising your integrity. So in using your higher faculties, you're supposed to only do it for love, not for money. Think of it like kissing someone. Think of it like would I want to kiss this person if I weren't being paid? So again, I'm horrified and shocked when I scroll through my Facebook thing and people are doing like tarot card readings, card pulls, oracle cards, whatever, $5 a card. I'm like, oh my God, like that's horrible. Like it's like saying like you'll do something sexual for someone for $5. Like that is not good. And I'm only trying to say this not to shame people, but to give you a sense of your own value and what is appropriate. Like please do not sell something that is absolutely priceless for $5. And the impressions and the ideas and the energy that you get from this, it's supposed to be a nourishment for you. Like the idea that you're taking that nourishment and selling it to someone else is not right. Not right to sell it for $5. So then, okay, so I'm a healer. What am I supposed to do? Well, it's like, something. I'll also just speak to this very briefly. The idea of worthy work. That right now there's this kind of new age caste system, and it's similar to the Hindu caste system, and it's similar to some places on other worlds where they say the psychically advanced people get to do all the cool stuff, and everybody else pushes a wheelbarrow full of shit. And that's, pardon my French, anybody who's family friendly, sorry. But yeah, does something that's boring and gross. And it's like, no, 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 no. There is such a thing as worthy work. So in the non-stratified system of equality, where everybody has higher faculties, it's not like, oh, you're a dead spark plug, you go push a wheelbarrow full of poop. Like, no, everybody does everything. So I have higher awakened faculties. I make really fancy paintings and stuff like that. And I also grow a garden. Like, I do work with my muscles too. So we all should do everything. We all should grow food, make food, clean up after food, and be artists and musicians and mathematicians and quantum scientists and people who are incredibly cultivated. We're supposed to be the full spectrum humans. We're not supposed to be like, I'm a full spectrum human, but you're a lowly subhuman and you clean up my chamber pot. So it's not supposed to be like that. So this is just, I'm talking out loud, I'm ranting, and these are restructurings. So yeah, so how to do, if you're a healer, right? How do you handle healing for money and things like that? So here's how I am handling like basic things in my life. If something requires a piece of equipment, it is appropriate for you to charge for it. So like, I do videos, I have software, I have hardware, I have an internet connection, all of that. Like, yeah, you have to charge money for that to be able to sustain what you do. So like, if you have an office space, an office rent, yes, you have to sustain what you do. Have that training. Did you have to go through a program? Did you have to do any of those things? Like, yes, how about if you make food? How much do your ingredients cost? Like, you can't just make free lasagna and send it out all the time if your ingredients cost stuff. So this is part of where my assessment comes from, that if you, in order to continue to do your practice, you do have to ask for sustenance. I ask for sustenance. I got to keep my electrons flowing in a wire. So I ask for tuition. So what do? I say, buy my clothing. Please pay me for my teaching. I'm giving you the recipes for lasagna here. Please, give me money in exchange for this. So yeah, I think you're getting my value system. Miniman says, what's a simple thing I can do to heal emotionally from emotional abuse from childhood? I don't get any help from official like therapists and stuff like that. I understand. It's not a simple thing, which is why it's hard for me to answer your question. It's a very complex thing to do this level of healing. It has to do with learning to travel with your consciousness through time in order to interact with yourself during that time of the trauma and changing, fixing, and restructuring time. And it's the type of thing that it would be easy to just pay a healer or some kind of other person, a shaman, to do it for you for $5, but you have to do it the hard way, which is where you actually go through the inner levels of development to learn how to genetically travel in time, how to send that energy back to yourself, and how to heal and fix your own journey. So my answer is, it's not a simple thing, but it's something that you can learn to do with utilizing Flying Rainbow Lasagna and some of the techniques that I teach in this class. Angel says, if I attract a parasite, there must be some sort of energy within me allowing it to be anchored. Wait, that's a huge presumption. If I release all energies which allow for parasites to come in, there would be no need to practice energy protection from others, since there is nothing inviting and allowing these energies to stay. Question mark? No. That's like saying, if I cut open my arm, if I have the right energy attraction inside of me, I will not attract any pathogenic viruses and bugs and bacteria. No. Because it doesn't matter how spiritually adept you are. If you cut your arm, you're literally opening up, making like an energetic hole for everything to come on it. All right, so you got to really understand here. It's not that the angel, not coming down hard on you, but I think that you have as a basic presumption, a flawed presumption, the idea that if something negative comes to you, it's this law of attraction, new age crap that you somehow have something negative inside of you that you're attracting it to you. No, you just might have a vulnerability through which an opportunistic infection enters you. Does not necessarily mean that you deserved it or that you wanted it or that you magnetically drew it to you in any way. So let's say drinking a bunch of elixir or some ayahuasca or some magical brew is analogous to cutting open your skin voluntarily with a big fat knife. And if you cut open your skin with a big fat knife, everything is going to try to come inside of there. Good stuff, bad stuff, weird stuff, everything that's around. If you open your eye with this elixir, everything is going to try to come inside of you. Good stuff, bad stuff, weird stuff, stuff that shouldn't be inside of there. So it's your choice to open up your eye, open up your skin. That is what allows those things to come in. It has not very little to do with the goodness of what you are. Like, you think like if you're just a good enough person that you can cut open all of your skin and just let everything come in and nothing bad will come into you. No, being a good person does not mean completely removing your immune system. No, being a good person actually means having such a strong immune system that you're like, you can like walk through fire, you can walk through anything, and no crap sticks to you because you're just like Teflon. So that's what it's like when your Merkaba is really spinning fast and nothing, it's like Teflon, nothing sticks to it. But also, you wouldn't choose to cut open your arm by taking a bunch of drugs or whatever that would create those vulnerabilities. Okay. Oh, and I understand, Julia. Thank you very much. Yeah. So because that was a private comment, I will speak to it in more general terms. Performance is a type of intimacy. Any kind of performance, singing, playing on the piano, dancing, all of these types of things. These are intimacies. And as a performer, you get to choose also who you perform for and in what context and for what type of energy exchange. And I'm very selective about what I share on YouTube, because on YouTube there's all these things where people inappropriately sexualize you. And so there are a lot of my dances and my Flying Rainbow Lasagna practices that I will not put on YouTube because I don't want them to be misperceived. So I think that's very, very appropriate to say, if you're an artist, a dancer, a musician, a performer in any way, that you get to choose who you perform, who you display to, in what way, in what context, and that then you would be perceived in the right way and appreciated in the right way, and have energy flow back to you in a way that is respectful. Thank you, Patricia. We understand that you have to go. Yeah, I'm just about to wrap it up, but I want to make sure that I got to all of the essential questions for today. And what's the plan for moving forward in the next couple of weeks? You all get a break. Breathe easy. Breathe easy. You don't have to draw anything for next week or the week after that, because what I want to do is present some of the necessary foundation ideas that will allow you to understand what are the drawing concepts, that what am I asking you to embody in the new drawing assignments that are coming up. So more drawing assignments will come. There's no more questions. I will stop the recording for right now and say thank you so much to everybody for your excellent comments and questions. Oh wait, there's a little bit more. Austin says, is hugging someone also analogous to cutting open your arm? Good question. Can you not cultivate to a point where you're immune to other people's parasites? Yes, choosing to hug someone else is choosing to open yourself up to them energetically. There's no way to not be influenced. There's no way to say, like, I'm going to hug you, but I'm like hugging you, like I'm wearing asbestos. None of your hug will get through. The whole idea of hug is that something gets through. So what I would say is, instead of trying to become immune to everybody's parasites, be super selective about who you hug. So don't be like, I'm going to put on an asbestos suit and I will go around hugging everyone like through this, thick filter. Like, no, I don't think that you have to do that. But what I think that the filter is should be a filter of selectivity about who you hug and under what circumstances. Miniman says, Patricia wrote me this. Does this work? Really simple and effective. Write a letter to your abuser, situation, etc., and burn it. Write it without any censorship, as no one will read it, and burn straight away. This traps the thoughts into matter, and the act of burning it literally transmutes it. Try it, it works. I think that is an interesting practice to try as a way of externalizing whatever your trauma or abuse is, or externalizing that stuck energy, and then using fire to transmute it. And I think that it's worth a try in terms of practice. I haven't done things like that, but what I have done is felt the release of burning either old paperwork, like, I don't think it's really along the same lines, but I burned a lot of old medical paperwork that was about insurance billing and stuff like that. That was from a time in my life when I had a lot of medical crises and did a lot of like doctors and hospital stuff. And I felt very unburdened and relieved in terms of being able to move forward into great states of health by releasing that. And so perhaps something similar can happen by writing out all the things that a person feels like is holding them back or burdening them, and then being able to have that burning and that release. Ines, wonderful question, I'm on it. Says, does alcohol, like good cultivated wine from time to time, reduce our spiritual capacities? Alcohol is definitely a molecular portal to otherworldly consciousnesses. So I call these molecules, they're doorways, they're portals. Methamphetamine is a portal. Mushroom is psilocybe cubensis is a portal. Ayahuasca, DMT is a portal. The DMT is endogenous, we have it in our own body, it's a molecular portal. And alcohol is also a molecular portal. When you drink, and THC, cannabis, can be a molecular portal too. So when the human ingests these substances, yes, it changes the actions of your antenna. It makes you more likely to pick up on things. So in general, I do not feel that alcohol is a life-promoting, healthy, or vital substance to ingest. However, I'm very aware of the cultural practices in Europe, in places like France and Italy. And I mean, I can't drink alcohol now because of my brain issues, but I did drink alcohol for a couple of the years that I was here when I first came here as Aurora. And I learned that good wine paired with your food does not make you drunk. It helps your digestion and it brings forward the flavors of the food. So it depends on how you use alcohol. Are we talking about drinking a six-pack, like the American yeehaw way, or are we talking about the way that France and Italy, the way they drink wine over there? It's very, very different. So I would say alcohol and wine being used as part of diet, being part of food and those sensations and nourishment is very, very different than alcohol being used for drunkenness. And so that's a big distinction to make. But mostly I'm not a promoter of alcohol, even though alcohol is such a socially accepted molecule in this world. Mostly I think that it does not help human vitality. Eleanor says, this has been one of the best presentations on emotional boundaries I've ever heard. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Thank you. Thank you, Kara. Thank you, Miniman. Okay, so I'm going to stop the recording right now just because it's going to be a long upload.